Hi, this is Mark, CPA Mark for Back Taxes USA. Talking today about offer in compromise. Offer in compromises have been around for quite a long time. You may have heard years ago, pennies on the dollar, solve your IRS debt. You know, let's say you owe $100,000. A lot of companies will say we can do it for half or a third or whatever. I am not a fan of offer in compromise. Why? Well, because let's put it this way. The IRS is not like credit card companies. You can like build up $100,000 of credit card debt, not pay it. 3 years later, credit card companies are screaming for you to pay something, and you can cut a deal with them. 25% of the amount, 10% of the amount, or nothing, right? Your credit's ruined, but basically, except for your credit being ruined, there's no real negative consequences. With the IRS, you may think you can make a similar deal. Like you owe $100,000 to them. You've heard of this OIC, you want to pay them $10,000. Guess what? The IRS are not idiots. What do I mean by that? Is that if anybody could do that, wouldn't you just tend to like not pay your taxes, wait 2, 3, or 4 years, and then cut a deal with them? Well, they don't accept that easily. Offer in compromises, generally you have to be in hardship, in need. The IRS has to see that you're like, what's that phrase? Getting blood from a stone. Meaning they don't see any way that they can get any money from you because you don't have income, you don't have assets, you don't have a job, but Uncle Jerry has $10,000 that he'll give you to pay off that $100,000 debt. So then they may take your money. But if you've got a job, if you're making $20, $50, $100,000 a year and you got a $100,000 debt, they want you to work out some sort of payment plan that is affordable to you. And there are standards as far as how that works. Payment plans are built around, believe it or not, ability to pay. So let's say you owe $100,000 to the IRS, but you're only making $20,000 a year. Can you pay the IRS $2,000 a month to pay that off? No, you need to pay for rent, clothing, insurance, that sort of thing. So they work out a payment plan that you could afford. So I have clients that don't make much money, they have a lot of IRS debt, and they have a payment plan that's low, $100, $200, $300 a month. On the other hand, what if you're making $300,000 a year and you have a $20,000 IRS debt? Well, they'll probably want you to pay it off in full because you have what? Disposable income to pay for that, unless you have a $10,000 a month mortgage. So offer in compromise is different from a payment plan. It basically says you have no money to pay the IRS, you're not going to be making any money, and you're offering them something. How do they qualify you? Well, they want to look at your bank statements, your credit card statements, your assets, your stocks, your bonds, your income, your pay stubs. They look at everything to see whether or not you have ability to pay before they give you an OIC. I recently did one for a client that I thought would qualify. His income was only $3,000 or $4,000 a month. He owed $60,000. We were going to offer $10,000. But when I got on the line with the OIC agent, the revenue agent from the IRS, she looked into everything. And here and there he had these deposits coming in that was supposedly from family, right? Well, that didn't look good. And at the end, she said, look, he looks like he's got other available funds that he could do a payment plan for whatever, $400, $500, $600 a month. So, OIC was canceled, and he's got to go on a payment plan. So I only rarely offer that because I don't want to take someone's money. You pay me $1,000 or $2,000 for an OIC. I know that it's probably not going to be approved. And then I say, well, I'm sorry, I tried. Because what? I like to sleep at night. Only 7 to 15% of all OICs are approved by the IRS. That's not a very big percent. And most companies that offer OICs basically sign you up. A lot of times it's high pressure. Oh, the IRS is going to come get you. You're going to go in jail, which you're not. We don't have a debtor's prison in the United States. Very rarely are there criminal charges against people, almost never for owing taxes. They may swipe your bank account, yes. They may take money out of your monthly paycheck. They may take some of your Social Security, but they're not going to throw you in jail unless you are a tax avoider or a tax cheat or something like that. So back to the OIC deal. Unless you have very special circumstances, I won't take you, and you shouldn't even bother with it because, and here's the scam. Oh my God. The scam is people who don't pay their taxes by definition are kind of disorganized and flaky in some ways. Now, if you're that person, I don't mean to offend you, but you already know that. You're a bit disorganized. You didn't pay your taxes on time. You didn't do estimated payments. You went exempt for W-2. All of these things happened and you fell behind. Well, that's the core of my business, and we're non-judgmental. We understand things happen. I have another video where I'll talk about why you didn't pay taxes for your mental blocks and things like that. But for now, if you go to these OIC companies, they'll take your money up front, then they'll ask you to fill out all this paperwork, and they'll give you 30 days to fill it out, or you lose the $2,000. That was one of these old scams. And these guys went into jail, by the way, years ago, some of these OIC companies. And then they know that you're probably not going to fill out all this paperwork because you're not really paperwork oriented, are you? That's why you're in this situation to begin with. And then even if they do an OIC, their job is done. They file it with the IRS. It takes anywhere from 6 months to a year and a half for the IRS to process an OIC. And at the end of it, in the fine print that you signed when you signed up for this OIC was, oh, by the way, we're going to do our best to do it, to do an OIC, but if it's not approved, it's not our fault. You're paying us to do the best job we can to get it. Well, they should know up front you're probably not going to qualify if you've got a job. Why? Because the IRS knows that you can pay off the debt. So my opinion on that, unless you're a special circumstance where you don't have a job, you don't have money in the bank, you have a little bit of a savings fund that you can do to pay off the OIC, don't even bother with it. What you want to bother with is getting in compliance, filing all your back taxes, and working out a payment plan. Okay? That's not impossible. So that's why there are a lot of companies around that do that. They work out payment plans. They do back taxes. We're one of them. There's a lot of good people out there. And then you go on a payment plan that you can afford it, and you get yourself right side up. And then every year you file your taxes on time. You don't have this cloud hanging over you. Anyway, that's it for today. See you later.